When the first light of day touches my face, I pause to reflect on the gift of being alive. I wasn't always like this. There were mornings I started with chaos, rushing, worrying, and dragging yesterday's burdens into today. It's a familiar feeling for many of us, isn't it? Waking up tired, overwhelmed, or distracted before the day even begins. But then I discovered something profound. Buddhism teaches us that every morning is an opportunity to reset our minds and live with purpose. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. Starting the day with awareness can change the energy of not just your morning, but your entire life. What we do in those first precious moments sets the tone for how we think, feel, and act. If we fill that time with distractions or negativity, the day becomes heavier. But when we ground ourselves in mindfulness and wisdom, we open the door to peace and clarity. Let me share a story. Years ago, I met an old monk during a retreat. He was calm, radiant, and carried an energy of unwavering peace. Curious, I asked him what his secret was. He smiled and said, "How I stand up each morning determines how I live my day." He told me he never jumped out of bed in a rush, nor did he reach for anything outside of himself before connecting within. "The morning," he said, "is like the fertile soil of a garden. If you plant seeds of awareness and kindness, the rest of your day will flourish." He described how he began each morning with simple, conscious actions, stretching gently to honor his body, drinking water to awaken his being, and spending a moment in silence to observe his thoughts without judgment. He never reached for distractions or let negative thoughts take root. Instead, he focused on gratitude for the gift of breath and the chance to begin again. His words stayed with me, and I decided to try this practice myself. At first, it wasn't easy. My phone felt like an old habit I couldn't shake, and my mind raced with worries. But with time, I noticed something remarkable. By changing small actions, my mornings transformed. I felt lighter, more present, and more in control of my day. These teachings reminded me that Buddhism isn't about complex rituals. It's about small, intentional choices that shape our inner world. When we honor the start of the day with care, we nurture a life of balance and wisdom. Let's walk through the 10 things I've learned we should avoid in those crucial moments after we rise. These aren't just rules, they're invitations to live more mindfully and fully. 1. Do not check your phone immediately. I used to believe that checking my phone first thing in the morning was harmless. Like many people, I thought it was productive to glance at my emails, messages, and even the news before I'd properly woken up. But here's the truth. I was wrong. Starting my day with a screen didn't give me focus or clarity. Instead, it left me feeling overwhelmed, reactive, and disconnected from myself before the day even began. In Buddhism, we're taught that the mind is like still water. When we wake up, our thoughts are calm, like a lake at dawn, undisturbed by the winds of the world. The moment we reach for our phones, it's as if we throw a handful of pebbles into that stillness, creating ripples of distraction, anxiety, and noise. I remember a particularly chaotic morning when I was jolted awake by my alarm. Before I'd even sat up in bed, I picked up my phone to check my notifications. One message from work sent my mind racing. Another email reminded me of an overdue task. Then, out of habit, I scrolled through social media. By the time I got out of bed, my head was already buzzing with stress. The peace of the morning had been shattered, not by the messages themselves, but by my choice to let them dictate the start of my day. I knew something had to change. One morning I decided to experiment. I left my phone in another room the night before, and when I woke up, I resisted the urge to reach for it. Instead, I sat quietly on the edge of my bed, closed my eyes, and took a few deep breaths. At first it felt strange, almost unsettling, to be alone with my thoughts. But as the minutes passed, I realized something profound. I didn't need my phone to feel connected. I needed stillness. Buddhism teaches us about mindfulness, the art of being fully present in each moment. When we reach for our phones first thing in the morning, we give away our attention before we've even had a chance to center ourselves. It's like handing over the steering wheel of your day to someone else. Instead of grounding ourselves in awareness, we let the noise of the world take control. What I've learned is this: the first moments of your morning are sacred. They are an opportunity to plant the seeds of intention, gratitude, and clarity. When you replace your phone with mindfulness, you set a tone of peace and purpose for the hours ahead. Now, I start my mornings differently. Before I even think about my phone, I take a moment to sit in stillness. Sometimes I focus on my breath. Other times I reflect on what I'm grateful for. It could be something as simple as the warmth of the sunlight or the fact that I've been given another day to grow. These small practices have transformed not only my mornings, but my entire approach to life. If you're like me and struggle to let go of the habit, here's what helped me. Set boundaries with your phone. Leave it in another room or put it on Do Not Disturb mode before you sleep. Replace the habit with something meaningful. Spend those first moments meditating, journaling, or simply stretching. Be patient with yourself. Breaking the habit takes time, but the rewards are worth it. When you wake up tomorrow, try this. Let the phone wait. Give yourself the gift of starting the day on your terms. Feel the stillness, embrace the quiet, and notice how it sets a foundation for a more mindful and peaceful day. 2. Do not snooze your alarm repeatedly. I used to be a chronic snoozer. My alarm would go off, and I'd hit that snooze button like it was a lifeline. 5 more minutes, I'd tell myself. Then another 5, and another. It felt comforting in the moment, but by the time I finally got out of bed, I was groggy, rushed, and honestly, a little guilty. It was like starting my day in a battle I'd already lost. Buddhism teaches us to meet each moment with awareness and acceptance. When we hit snooze, we're resisting the present moment. We're saying, "Not yet, I'm not ready." But here's the thing, the day doesn't wait for us. Life moves forward, whether we embrace it or not. I remember a particularly frustrating morning when my snooze habit caught up with me. I had a meeting scheduled early, and I'd promised myself I'd get up with my first alarm to prepare. But when the alarm rang, I hit snooze. Then again, and again. By the time I finally rolled out of bed, I was panicked, rushing to get ready and feeling completely out of control. That day felt chaotic, not because of the meeting, but because of how I'd started it. Something had to change. I realized that the way I woke up wasn't just affecting my mornings, it was setting the tone for my entire day. I needed to reclaim my mornings with intention and discipline. One morning I made a decision. No more snooze button. When the alarm rang, I sat up immediately. It wasn't easy. I wanted to crawl back under the covers, but I reminded myself of something I'd learned from Buddhist teachings. Small actions lead to great transformations. By choosing to rise with the alarm, I was choosing to start my day with awareness and purpose. What I discovered was surprising. Waking up without snoozing felt empowering. It was like winning the first battle of the day. Instead of dragging myself out of bed, I felt a sense of accomplishment, a quiet pride that carried into everything else I did. Here's what helped me break the habit. Set a clear intention the night before. Remind yourself why it's important to get up when the alarm rings. Whether it's to meditate, exercise, or simply enjoy a peaceful start to the day, having a purpose makes it easier. Create a morning ritual you look forward to. For me, it's a cup of tea and a few moments of silence before the world wakes up. Find something that motivates you to rise. Place the alarm out of reach. This simple trick forces you to physically get out of bed, making it harder to hit snooze. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of discipline, not as a form of restriction, but as a path to freedom. When we choose to rise with the alarm, we're not just getting out of bed. We're cultivating a mindset of readiness and resilience. We're telling ourselves, I'm ready to meet the day. If you struggle with this, let me offer a small challenge. Tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings, take one deep breath and sit up. Resist the urge to snooze, feel the discomfort, and then notice how it transforms into clarity and energy as you embrace the moment. The way we wake up matters. It's not just about getting out of bed. It's about how we choose to begin the day. By letting go of the snooze button, you're not just waking up. You're stepping into your life with awareness, courage, and intention. And that, my friends, is a powerful way to live. 3. Do not complain immediately. Let's be honest. We've all had mornings when we woke up feeling off. Maybe the alarm felt too loud, the bed felt too comfortable to leave, or the thought of facing a busy day was just overwhelming. I used to be the kind of person who let those feelings spill out as complaints. Why is it so early? I didn't get enough sleep. I don't want to do this today. Those words became my soundtrack, and before I even got out of bed, I had already set a negative tone for my day. Buddhism teaches us that suffering often begins not with external circumstances, but with how we perceive and respond to them. Complaining is one of the most common ways we resist reality. It feels like a release, but in truth, it's a trap. When we complain, we reinforce the negativity we're trying to escape. I realized this during a conversation with a mentor. I had been venting about how busy and stressful my mornings were, expecting sympathy. Instead, he looked at me with kindness and said, "Why do you let the first moments of your day carry such a heavy burden? You're alive. Start there." His words hit me hard. The next morning, when I felt the familiar urge to complain, I paused. Instead of grumbling about being tired, I simply took a deep breath and said, "Thank you for this new day." It wasn't dramatic, but it shifted something in me. I started to see my mornings as opportunities rather than obstacles. Complaining creates a mental loop of dissatisfaction. The more we complain, the more we focus on what's wrong, and the more our minds seek out additional problems. Buddhism invites us to break this cycle by cultivating gratitude and acceptance. When I catch myself slipping back into old habits, I ask myself, does this complaint help me? Does it make me feel lighter, happier, or more at peace? The answer is always no. Complaining doesn't solve problems, it magnifies them. Here's what I practice instead. 1. Acknowledge the feeling without judgment. If I wake up feeling tired or frustrated, I don't push it away. I simply notice it. I'm feeling this way right now, and that's okay. 2. Replace complaints with gratitude. Before saying anything negative, I think of one thing I'm thankful for, big or small. 3. Focus on intention. Instead of dwelling on what feels difficult, I remind myself of my purpose for the day. These small shifts have made a world of difference. The mornings I start with gratitude feel lighter and more productive. Instead of dragging negative energy into the day, I carry a sense of peace and presence. The next time you feel like complaining in the morning, pause. Take a deep breath and choose a different response. You'll notice how this simple act transforms not just your morning, but your entire day. 4. Do not jump out of bed in a rush. There was a time when my mornings were a whirlwind. The alarm would go off, and I'd leap out of bed like I was already behind schedule. My mind raced with tasks, my body felt tense, and before I even brushed my teeth, I was in a state of stress. It felt efficient at first, but in reality, it left me feeling scattered and exhausted before the day even began. Buddhism teaches us to approach life with mindfulness and balance. When we rush, we abandon the present moment and allow anxiety to take the lead. Jumping out of bed in a hurry may seem harmless, but it sets a frantic tone that ripples through the rest of the day. I'll never forget the morning this hit me. I had overslept slightly, and in my panic, I rushed through everything, dressing, eating, even thinking. By the time I left the house, I had forgotten my keys, spilled my coffee, and felt like the world was against me. That evening, as I reflected on the day, I realized that it wasn't the world that had caused my stress. It was how I had started my morning. The next day, I tried something different. When the alarm rang, I didn't jump out of bed. Instead, I sat up slowly, placed my feet on the ground, and took 3 deep breaths. I told myself, there's no need to rush. The day will unfold in its own time. That small change had a profound effect. By starting the day with intention and calm, I felt more grounded and in control. The tasks I had to tackle didn't seem as overwhelming, and I was able to approach them with clarity. Buddhism reminds us that how we begin anything, be it a day, a task, or a conversation, sets the tone for what follows. When we rush, we create tension, but when we move with purpose, we cultivate peace. Here's how I've embraced a slower start. 1. Allow a moment of stillness. After waking, I take a few breaths before getting out of bed. It's a simple practice, but it helps me feel present. 2. Stretch gently. Before diving into the day, I spend a few minutes stretching to awaken my body with kindness. 3. Set a mindful intention. Whether it's a word, a phrase, or a simple thought, I remind myself of how I want to show up for the day. Starting the morning without rushing doesn't mean neglecting responsibilities. It means approaching them with a clear and steady mind. I've found that when I take my time, I'm actually more productive. I make fewer mistakes, feel less stressed, and enjoy the day more. If you find yourself rushing out of bed, I encourage you to try this. Tomorrow morning, give yourself 5 extra minutes. Sit up slowly, take a few breaths, and let your body wake up naturally. Notice how it feels to start the day with calm instead of chaos. Life moves quickly enough on its own. By slowing down in the morning, we give ourselves the gift of presence, and that, my friends, is one of the most powerful ways to begin the day. 5. Do not forget to hydrate. I used to wake up and rush straight into my day without a second thought. A quick glance at my to-do list, a few sips of coffee, and I was off. What I didn't realize was that my body was crying out for something so simple yet so vital: water. It wasn't until I started feeling sluggish and foggy in the mornings that I paused to reflect on why. The answer was obvious. My body had gone hours without hydration, and I was neglecting its most basic need. Buddhism teaches us the importance of nurturing the body as the vessel for the mind. Without care and attention, our bodies cannot fully support us in our pursuit of mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion. Hydration is the first act of kindness we can offer ourselves each morning. I remember learning this lesson the hard way. One morning, after waking up particularly groggy, I went straight to my usual coffee routine. By mid-morning, I felt jittery, dehydrated, and strangely irritable. That evening, while reading about the importance of balance in Buddhism, it struck me. I had ignored what my body truly needed in favor of what I thought I wanted. The next morning, I made a small but transformative change. Before reaching for anything else, I drank a full glass of water. The effect was immediate. I felt refreshed, more alert, and even calmer. It was as though my body was saying, "Thank you for listening." Hydration isn't just about quenching thirst. It's about resetting and replenishing. During the hours we sleep, our bodies lose water through breathing and natural processes. When we wake, our cells are ready to absorb the hydration they need to function optimally. Skipping this step is like trying to start a car with no fuel. It may move, but it won't run smoothly. Now, my morning routine begins with this simple ritual. I sit quietly, drink a glass of water, and allow myself to feel its cooling, nourishing effect. It's a moment of mindfulness that connects me to my body and sets a tone of care for the rest of the day. If you've never made hydration a priority, start tomorrow. Keep a glass or bottle of water by your bed, and when you wake, take a few moments to drink it mindfully. Notice how it feels to give your body exactly what it needs. It's a small act with a profound impact. 6. Do not skip breakfast. For years, I skipped breakfast in the name of convenience. Mornings were busy, and eating felt like just one more thing to do. I'd tell myself, I'll grab something later, but more often than not, later turned into feeling drained, irritable, and distracted halfway through the morning. It wasn't until I embraced the wisdom of Buddhism that I realized skipping breakfast wasn't just about food. It was about neglecting an opportunity to nourish myself with intention. Buddhism emphasizes living in harmony with the body, mind, and environment. When we skip breakfast, we deny our bodies the energy they need to support us. It's like expecting a lamp to shine brightly without plugging it in. One morning, after yet another rushed start, I found myself unable to focus during a meditation session. My mind kept drifting to thoughts of hunger and fatigue. It was then that I remembered a teaching from the Buddha. The wise nourish the body as they would a child, with care and attention. I realized I had been treating breakfast as an inconvenience instead of the gift it truly is. The next morning, I committed to change. I started small, preparing a simple bowl of oatmeal topped with fresh fruit. As I sat down to eat, I reminded myself to be fully present. Each bite became an act of mindfulness, tasting, chewing, and appreciating the nourishment. That morning, I felt a difference. My energy was steady, my mind was clearer, and I approached my tasks with a sense of balance. Breakfast doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about creating a gourmet spread. It's about offering your body the fuel it needs to thrive. Whether it's a piece of fruit, a smoothie, or a slice of toast with almond butter, the act of eating with intention can transform your entire day. Now, breakfast has become one of my favorite moments of the morning. It's a time to pause, reflect, and prepare myself, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. By starting the day with nourishment, I feel more grounded and better equipped to face whatever comes. If you've been skipping breakfast, let me encourage you to rethink that habit. Tomorrow, take a few minutes to prepare something simple and eat it with presence. Notice how it feels to honor your body and give it the care it deserves. You might find that this small act sets a tone of balance and gratitude that carries you through the day. When we nourish ourselves with mindfulness, we create a foundation for peace, energy, and focus. And isn't that what every morning deserves? 7. Do not start the day without a conscious plan. I used to wake up and drift aimlessly through my mornings. I'd respond to whatever came my way, emails, chores, random thoughts, without any sense of direction. By the time midday rolled around, I'd often feel frustrated, wondering where my time had gone. The truth was, I wasn't living intentionally. I was reacting to life instead of guiding it. Buddhism teaches us the value of mindfulness and intention in every moment. The morning, being the foundation of the day, is a sacred opportunity to set a clear path. Without a conscious plan, we become like a boat without a rudder, drifting wherever the current takes us. One day I realized the impact of my lack of planning. I had a long list of things I wanted to accomplish, but by the evening I'd barely made progress. Instead of feeling productive, I felt overwhelmed. That evening, as I reflected, I asked myself a simple question. What do I want my mornings to represent? The answer was clear. I wanted my mornings to reflect clarity, focus, and purpose. The next day, I tried something different. Before getting out of bed, I took a few moments to mentally map out my day. I asked myself 3 questions. What is the most important thing I want to accomplish today? How do I want to show up for myself and others? What can I let go of to stay focused? This small shift changed everything. Having a conscious plan gave me a sense of direction and purpose. My mornings felt lighter, my tasks felt more manageable, and I ended the day with a sense of fulfillment. Planning doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about rigid schedules or overloading your to-do list. It's about aligning your actions with your intentions. When you start the day with clarity, you create a flow that guides you through challenges and distractions with ease. Here's how I make planning a part of my morning practice. 1. Set a daily intention. This can be a simple word or phrase, like focus, compassion, or peace. 2. Prioritize 3 key tasks. Instead of overwhelming yourself with a long list, focus on the 3 most important things you want to accomplish. 3. Visualize the day ahead. Spend a moment imagining how you want your day to unfold. Starting the day with a conscious plan isn't just practical, it's empowering. It reminds us that we have the ability to shape our lives through thoughtful choices. When you wake up tomorrow, take a moment to plan your day with intention. Notice how this simple practice transforms not just your productivity, but your overall sense of purpose. 8. Do not allow negative thoughts. Mornings used to feel heavy for me. I'd wake up, and before my feet even touched the ground, my mind would be flooded with worries. What if I don't get everything done today? What if something goes wrong? Why do I feel so tired? These thoughts felt automatic, like an unwelcome visitor I couldn't keep out. Buddhism teaches us that the mind is like a garden. If we allow weeds, negative thoughts, to grow unchecked, they can overrun the entire space. But with mindfulness, we can cultivate positivity and uproot negativity before it takes hold. One morning, after waking up particularly anxious, I decided to do something different. Instead of letting my thoughts spiral, I paused and took a deep breath. I asked myself, are these thoughts helping me, or are they weighing me down? The answer was obvious. They were only creating stress. I remembered a teaching from the Buddha. What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create. In that moment, I realized I had the power to choose my thoughts. I didn't have to let negativity define my morning. I could redirect my mind towards something constructive. Now, when I wake up, I practice a simple exercise to guard against negative thoughts. I call it the 3 reframes. 1. Notice the thought. Instead of ignoring it, I acknowledge it. I see you, worry. 2. Question its validity. I ask, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Often, the answer is no. 3. Replace it with gratitude. I shift my focus to something positive, like the opportunity to start fresh or the support of loved ones. This practice has transformed my mornings. Instead of feeling weighed down, I feel lighter and more resilient. Negative thoughts still arise, but they no longer control me. I see them for what they are, temporary clouds passing through a clear sky. Buddhism teaches us to approach our thoughts with compassion, not judgment. It's not about forcing ourselves to think positively all the time. It's about creating space for awareness and choosing thoughts that serve us. If you struggle with negative thoughts in the morning, here's what I recommend. Start with a mantra. A simple phrase like "I am at peace" or "This is a new beginning" can help anchor your mind. Practice gratitude. List 3 things you're thankful for, no matter how small. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. Breathe mindfully. When negative thoughts arise, take a few deep breaths and focus on the present moment. The way we think in the morning shapes how we experience the day. By choosing thoughts of gratitude, hope, and possibility, we create a foundation for peace and joy. When you wake up tomorrow, pay attention to your mind's first words. If negativity creeps in, pause, breathe, and gently redirect your thoughts. You'll find that even the smallest shift can make a world of difference. 9. Do not neglect your body. For years, I woke up and went straight into my day without thinking about my body. I'd rush through my morning routine, grab a quick cup of coffee, and dive headfirst into work. My body was an afterthought, something I expected to function without care or attention. But over time, I began to notice the toll it was taking. I felt stiff, sluggish, and out of sync. My energy would fade before the day had truly begun. Buddhism teaches us that the body is the temple of the mind. If the body is neglected, the mind cannot operate at its full potential. Taking care of the body is not an indulgence. It's an essential part of living mindfully. I'll never forget the moment this truth hit me. One morning, as I sat at my desk feeling unusually tense, I realized I hadn't moved my body intentionally in days. It wasn't just physical discomfort. I felt disconnected from myself. That evening, I reflected on how little attention I had been giving to my physical well-being. I remembered a teaching from the Buddha. To keep the body in good health is a duty. Otherwise, we shall not be able to keep our mind strong and clear. The next morning, I made a commitment to myself. Before diving into the day, I would take a few moments to honor my body. I started small, just a few stretches to loosen up and awaken my muscles. Over time, this became a cherished part of my morning routine. Now, I dedicate a few minutes every morning to move mindfully. Sometimes it's stretching, other times it's yoga or a short walk. This simple act has transformed the way I feel throughout the day. My energy is steadier, my mind is clearer, and I feel more grounded. If you've been neglecting your body in the mornings, I encourage you to try this. Start with a stretch. Reach your arms overhead, roll your shoulders, and stretch your legs. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just move in a way that feels good. Focus on your breath. As you move, pay attention to your breathing. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly to connect your body and mind. Be consistent. Even 5 minutes of mindful movement each morning can make a difference. Taking care of your body is an act of self-respect and mindfulness. When you wake up tomorrow, give your body the attention it deserves. Notice how even the smallest movements bring a sense of vitality and connection. Your body supports you in everything you do. Show it some love. 10. Do not skip morning meditation. I used to think I didn't have time to meditate in the morning. My days were packed, and I convinced myself that sitting quietly for even a few minutes wasn't practical. But deep down, I knew something was missing. My mornings felt chaotic, and my mind was often racing before I even stepped out of bed. Buddhism places great emphasis on meditation as a tool to center the mind and cultivate awareness. Skipping this practice is like starting a journey without a map. It's easy to get lost in distractions and stress. One morning, after waking up particularly anxious, I decided to try something different. Instead of rushing into my day, I sat cross-legged on the floor and closed my eyes. I didn't set any expectations. I just focused on my breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. For the first time in a long time, I felt stillness. That simple act of meditation changed everything. It wasn't just the practice itself, it was the intention behind it. By choosing to start my day with mindfulness, I was reclaiming my mornings as a space for peace and clarity. Now, morning meditation is a non-negotiable part of my routine. Even if it's just 5 minutes, those moments of stillness set the tone for my entire day. I've noticed that I'm less reactive, more focused, and better equipped to handle challenges. Meditation has become my anchor, reminding me that no matter how busy life gets, there is always a place of calm within me. If you're new to meditation, don't worry. It doesn't have to be complicated. Here's how I recommend starting. 1. Find a quiet spot. Sit comfortably, either on the floor or in a chair. 2. Focus on your breath. Pay attention to the sensation of air entering and leaving your nose. 3. Let go of expectations. If your mind wanders, that's okay. Gently bring your focus back to your breath. Morning meditation isn't about achieving perfection. It's about creating space for awareness. It's a practice that grows over time, and even a few minutes can make a profound difference. When you wake up tomorrow, resist the urge to dive straight into your tasks. Instead, take a moment to sit in stillness. Feel the rhythm of your breath and allow yourself to simply be. Notice how this small act of mindfulness transforms your morning and sets a foundation for a calmer, more intentional day. Meditation is a gift you give yourself, a moment to reconnect with the present and prepare your mind for whatever lies ahead. Make it a part of your mornings, and you'll find that the peace you cultivate stays with you throughout the day. As we've explored today, the way we start our mornings can shape the energy of our entire day. By avoiding these 10 habits and embracing mindful alternatives, we honor both our bodies and our minds, setting a tone of peace, clarity, and purpose. Buddhism teaches us that even the smallest shifts in our daily routines can lead to profound transformation. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one habit you're inspired to change after watching this? Or do you already have a morning practice that aligns with mindfulness? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to learn from your experiences and insights. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more wisdom and practical tips to help you live a more intentional life. Let's continue this journey of growth together. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.